Right. And how old is that house?
Maybe 10 years or 10 years.
Right.
Very long time.
Hello. My name is Wojtek Bobilewicz. I come from Poland. I arrived to Solomon Islands to find out something about the way the local people live, and also to find out something about the legends or myths, as the scientists call them, regarding giants and lights in Solomon Islands. And I believe these are not legends or myths. This is a true story. With me is the chief of the Chapuru village, Joseph Jepe, a very wise and well-educated man who helps us with our research and who can tell us a number of very interesting stories today. Joseph, here we are in this very nice village of Chapuru, and I know you are the chief of this village, and you told us a lot of exciting stories. So we are first of all interested in your ancestors, because you told us you had ancestors back in the times when there was headhunting here and cannibalism. Could you tell us a few words about that?
Yes, exactly. For my history, I'm originally from Tangrare, and there is a tribal war in the late 17th and 16th centuries. My great-grandmothers had moved from that place to these areas, and they live here with a lot of our warriors. And later on, some of our people come and collect my mother's bag. Then we live there. And during also on that time, during that the tribal war, they also killed my great-grandfather, which is he's the original leader of our home there, back at Tangrare. Then, yes, they killed him. They put him on top. He stood on top of a stone. Then later these warriors, that is, I believe, is at the end of the 18th century. That is during the time when the Australian government have set back all these people that work in those plantations during that time. And then because of these warriors have jealousy to him, that because he's a great warrior, and they collected all these warriors from that part of the island. And with them there is a kind of gun which is the British always used it before, even Australia. They put the bullets in front of it and they strike it to make it stronger. Then they shoot it with my grandfather, which is they strike his right hand with he drops his weapon, and yes, then later they kill him, cut him snake off, and they cut him to pieces and they share his body and eat his meats and drink his blood. And also during the time when the Queensland, from Queensland back, and they also sent one of my relatives, also my grandfather's relatives, or maybe his first cousin, and he was back at Solomon Islands, but he come to different islands. He's living at Gela. Then two of his nephew sent news to him and said to him that, oh, well, you come back to our village and our home and you set up peace there. So there, the man named Biku, on his way up, he took with him monies and also sharks, which we now we call tanda. Then that tanda lead him back to set peace in our area. And from the time there is no tribal war till now. Right. And then my mother was still staying here until we were born and we live here. And also during all those times, our great hunters and all our warriors have been set from that coastline, from the western side to the eastern side of the island. Whereas one of my great-grandfather, really great-grandfather, is on his way to the Sala areas, where he lives until he comes to that Verabau area. And also he lives here at Chapuru. And he also built the shrine up in the mountains that we have seen. And by his name is Chapuna. Chapuru is one of the first village among any village in this coastland, where many people are living in during the 16th and 17th centuries. And then what actually happened, these people from Chapuru village moved from every village is in this area, like from Tanasari, Takaboro areas, eastern side, and some people moved western side of the island. They're also from Chapuru. But what actually happened in Chapuru, there is some the tribal wars have been happened before. Even a giant have struck this village also, and the people have died in other sicknesses. So now we start to come up again, regroup again to come back to this village and to set up this village. That is why we have left with few new families here. So you can find out here in Chapuru there is not a single old man under 60s and from 60 up to 80 something, all the new people. And, right, we got water supplies from the ministry. Have supplied us some water supplies. We have two supplies here. And for us here in the next village, like we in the upper bush here, we use some temporary pipes. We built our dams in cement, but we made it temporarily. And then the big village, they use the pipe been supplied by the ministry responsible for water authorities. And then also we use, in terms of light and all those, some of our houses use a lantern. And for nowadays, we use solar panels. Some of the houses solar panels. And even generators also. Whereas Chapuru is also a mixed people village, like the people from the other island, like especially Savo, and also Gela, and some Polynesian people also came in here, and then they stayed here, married to our people here, and then we're mixed people. And also in terms of Christianity, we also mix in religions. Some of other denominations within Christianity are also with us here. So it's maybe in 10 years' time, we do believe that this village will be a big village.
Right.
When these little children grows up, and maybe this village will be a big village.
When you were discussing your ancestors and the village of Chapuru, you also said you mentioned something about giants. Could you explain to us who or what giants are and what major types of giants exist?
Right, exactly. There were three types of giants, especially in Guadalcanal. One is a kind of small type of human form-like, and also another one is kind of like a real human being, kind in on our height. Another one is a very huge one. It's a very big one that is also can become invisible. So those three types of giants are living right in Guadalcanal. Well, to describe them is to me is simply like the gorilla face and bodies and the type of powerful type of the gorillas, and because they are very strong type of let's call them animals something, or homoid or whatsoever. They can carry even very heavy logs and break down the trees and all those things like that. Even the humans, they can carry humans with their bare hands and carry them to the mountains, those very steepy mountains. They are not so too intelligent because what actually happened to them is they only have two mindsets. One is to think about what to eat, another one is to have sex, to reproduce, that's all. And then they are not really friendly, and that's how the way they think. In Guadalcanal, the giant is really exist, and it's really living in caves under the Mount Tuve, which is the topest point here in the Guadalcanal, the highest peak in Guadalcanal. Whereas in many coastline in the eastern side of the island, they have the tunnel entrance to that place, which is easily we can see them, the tunnel. But the giant, because of they have like the part relationship with the real human beings, and the human beings, the home people believe that the ancestors are coming from that type of people. Or then we must have to go through them by asking them permissions, and even they themselves, their clan themselves within those giants can lead us to this place where they live. But they are really existing in the Guadalcanal. So they have a big cities, I believe, in that place. Even in history, we heard about Lati Makonde, and he was one of the king of the giant right now, living in the same cave with those other giants.
Okay, Joseph, I have some more questions concerning these very strange things, because everybody needs to admit that stories about giants are very hard to believe, because in Europe, in other Western countries, people say it's only legends or myths. But I heard that giants are actually not the only mystery of Solomon Islands,
Right.
and that over here in this area, and even over Chapuru and in the sea nearby, people sometimes see kind of strange lights. Can you tell us a few words about those lights? What they are, what do you think, and when you can see them and where?
Right. Good. Yes, the light is, we see light very often. Like the light is always appearing in the same place, and the same time at night, and also it flows the same directions every time we saw it. And it exactly comes out from the horizons, in the same directions out here. If you go to the beach of Chapuru, and there is a point here, Chapuru here, and you always visit it, you know the place.
So they are somewhere over there?
Right, near the beach there.
Okay.
Or if it's for a good view, we can climb up the tip of the hill there, and just near the sea, and we just can see it during the night. But most of the time it can fly, we can show it during the very dark night. And the dark nights during not morning, and then you see it flies from the same place. But it always comes that these things, since we come to grow, we also saw it. But something really surprising us is because it flies the same direction every time. And we also had, some of our boys here, some of our village fishermen, also have seen it, and they feel its lights that it strikes them. When it suddenly hover upon them, then they feel such light, very hot, the heat of the light, very hot. So some of these boys here drop themselves in the water, so they hide themselves under the canoe. And also the same incident of that light happens to one of our relatives, and even been admitted to the hospital. And also similar incident happened to one of our friends too, been swimming in the pool up on the mountains. We believe that is Mount Dragon, we call it Dragon. And then that lights come, and it comes like not the light, but it comes like an moving object. It's an object hovering him, and he dives under the water, and then later he comes out and you see nothing. So that is, we call it mysteries, because we do see it every 2 nights. We don't really, I cannot really tell what exactly can be, because many people of the Solomon Islands think about the spirit. And then we have a question ourselves, because if it is spirit, why did it signals, give an SOS something under it? And it have a hit when it shines upon the people. And also, many people are missing in the past years, we understand, when we remembered. So we don't blame that the light did it, but we have to, we think about it. So here at Chapuru is a very nice viewpoint of seeing the light, so that you can see clearly how it rises and how it flows into the jungles, to the bottom of those mountains. Like the giant is like what we say could be, I could say an animal, I name it animal like, and this light is a different form of things. Even we don't know about it, but we just happen to see it. Just in these oceans flying every 2 nights, and even when we go for a dive or spear fishing, and then even our fishermen, they must have to go to a shore because they are afraid of that light.
It seems like Guadalcanal and the Solomon Islands in general is really a place full of mysteries, unsolved, very strange issues and things. And I've heard about one more, and I know the island of Makira is especially known, but in Guadalcanal also I heard there are some creatures like they call them kakamora, or they ascribe many other names to the small people. Can you tell us a few words about those small people?
Well, that's a real true story, and it's written down in the history of these islands, because kakamora is the people of Makira is really well known since the government formed the Solomons as kakamora, because that type of people is really existing in Makira. And also in Guadalcanal, some incident happened, or the people have been caught, and then they bring them to Honiara in the 18th and in the 19th, and also the people in public in Honiara saw those type of people. And in Makira, it's a real story that this place, these people here still exist in Makira. They look like a human being, but they're very small in size. Even if they can go under the houses at night, and they can walk very fast. Those at Makira can go very fast, and they automatically disappear when they move. they're in the form of human beings, but we don't really take them in close range and see them clearly. Maybe they have still have 5 fingers, but maybe very small fingers.
Right.
Right, and then they're very small people, but they do sex with themselves, and maybe they have kids. That's why there are so many. Maybe they're in one or 2 foot. These people always live in the central of the island, and they must be the form of creatures that they've been here before any normal human beings are in this island. That's what I believe. They are living also in the eastern part of the island, because that is a very, very flat land. It's a plain, so they can live in those plains and those very big mountain ranges. Similar to, compared to our mountains here, it's too slopey, and then these people cannot live really happy on this type of mountains like this on our coastline. But they live mostly on those areas. And then I do have a proof of it. I had one of our relatives been married to this area, telling us that there is a group of kind of small people cutting his timber after he cut and keep them in the bush and stockpile them. And this type of small people come and throw them away by night. And they also hate it at night that the timber is banging, but they don't know what happened. So after morning they saw the timbers they saw very short footprint, very small footprint, similar to baby's footprint. And that is, I really thought that this thing must be here before any human beings arrive in this islands.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. But with me is also Warren Aston, a traveler, a researcher, who, just like me, is interested in all sorts of strange and inexplicable phenomena, and who's very much interested in the culture of Solomon Islands and the unknown phenomena. So Warren, what brings you here to Solomon Islands?
The same things. It's a very undeveloped, remote place, least developed in the Pacific, and because of that I think a lot of these things have not been taken seriously. And so it's a fantastic opportunity for us to come and find out more about them. I don't know if definitive answers are possible at this point, but we will try, and at the very least we will come away knowing more than we did.
That's what you expect from your visit in Solomon Islands?
Yes.
Right. So you believe these stories about giant slides and small people and ruins, they are grounded in...
Well, really, there's no reason to even query the lights. I mean, UFOs are reported worldwide, and there's no reason... In fact, there's very good reasons why this would be an attractive operations base, for this whole part of the planet. You're in a remote area, very little chance of any disturbance. You have all the facilities.
Right.
Yes, the very fact that it's remote.
So what do you expect most from this trip? What is your priority number one? What would you like to really...
I think something tangible, something physical that would support the idea that there are still lost races, I prefer to call them, or lost tribes living here in the interior. Absolutely no reason why not, and the whole story of the hobbits in Flores, in the Indonesian islands, tells us that it's no fantasy, and very likely is a link to at least one of these groups of people. And of course they were very small, but there's also no reason why they couldn't be larger species.
Right.
And if we could find some tangible evidence, bones, skulls, something that's clearly larger than human or clearly smaller than human, that would be a major development.
Let's hope that's what is going to happen here.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Well, it will happen one day.
Yeah.
It's one of these situations where you probably have to put a lot of time and effort into it, and of course that requires funding. So It's also difficult in that respect because our funding is very small.
Right.
And there's only 2 of us.
Right.
But we're going to push ahead and do whatever we can that will move us ahead.